Good, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alexandra Twee with Marketing at UBM Fashion. I'd like to welcome you to the New York Women's February 101 webinar. Today we will be covering everything you need to know before attending New York Women's February, including the inside scoop on the show and how to successfully prepare for this marketplace. Before we begin the presentation, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. Number one, please note you will be placed on mute for the duration of the call. All questions will be addressed via the Q&A log during or at the end of the presentation. Number two, if you experience any system issues, click on the Help option on your registration reminder email. And finally, if you find a delay at any time throughout the presentation, please try refreshing your page or changing browsers. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers today. We have Mercedes Gonzalez of Global Purchasing Companies here to lend her expert advice. Mercedes is the founder and director of GPC and praised for sharing the tricks of the trade with over 20 years experience in the apparel industry, traveling to countless countries for trade shows. We're also joined today by my colleagues at UBM Fashion, Gail Outcalt, Retail Relations Manager, Danielle Licata, Women's Fashion Director and VP Brand Director of Coterie, and Belinda Pina, Sales Director of Footwear. They will be here to address any questions you may have throughout the presentation. Now, please let me hand it over to Gail, who will be speaking to the overall marketplace.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We're going to talk about the 4 shows at the New York marketplace: Coterie, Fame, Moda, and Soul Commerce. New York Women's February features the most sought-after contemporary and progressive designers and brands in women's apparel, footwear, and accessories. We want to talk a little bit about why New York Women's is the most valuable shopping resource for you. You're going to get a broad overview of the market all in one place in a short amount of time. You can view your existing vendors and also find new and emerging brands. You can view vendor lines merchandised in easy-to-navigate neighborhoods. Plus, you can network with the best in the industry and form valuable marketing partnerships. Then I just wanted to go over the floor plan. Level 1, which is downstairs, will have Coterie and the cafe. Level 2, which is the street level or concourse level, will have beauty, vintage, and one of the registration areas. And then level 3, which is upstairs, will also have Coterie, which accessories and edit will be neighborhoods, Soul Commerce, Fame, Fashion, Fame to Go, Moda, and also another registration area. Now I'm going to turn it over to Danielle Licata, who will be speaking about Coterie within the marketplace. Danielle came from Stella McCartney and Belstaff and has over 10 years of experience in the luxury fashion category, earning her the role as Women's Fashion Director and VP Brand Director of Coterie. Go ahead, Danielle.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are new stores or people who have navigated the market who are looking to hear about the new things we're doing at Coterie. With that, I want to kind of give you an idea of some of the directional things we're doing at the show this season. We have approximately 180 new brands joining us, which is an exciting number for us, and they come from a range of countries, both domestic and international. We have 4 focus countries for this season: Brazil, Colombia, and Australia, and we have a nice selection of brands from each of those countries with us. So if you're interested in finding great products that are not over-distributed, I would say that is a great place to start with the international brand roster, and we're happy to provide that to anybody who asks for it on the Q&A. We basically are working on traveling the world and bringing together what we consider a group of the 2,000 best brands in the contemporary space. And what's great about Coterie is it really is a marketplace made up of all different price points and aesthetics, from what I would call Southern preppy to advanced contemporary European. We really have something for everyone in terms of stylistic nature, price point driven. We really start at that $100 price point. If you want to choose a dress as example as a barometer, coterie would start at $100 and go up from there probably to about $3,000 for some of our evening wear. And what's most important about coterie is that we're breaking it down or dissecting it into sections that make it really easy for the retailers to navigate. So not only do we encourage you guys to write to us and ask for individual questions, because some people say it's very large, it's very daunting, you know, there's 2,000 booths on the floor, how do I navigate? I think for us, it's getting you to the right location so you have enough of a variety of the things that you're looking for your particular store and your particular clientele, and that's what Mercedes and I are here to help you do. What I would love to focus on also is the different sections that we have within the show, because we've dissected them to make it easier for navigation. The edit section that's right by the front door on level 3 is really where we house a lot of our European goods. It definitely has a higher price point and a more advanced design aesthetic. I would call it mature in terms of the nature of the product there, a lot of cashmere, a little bit more avant-garde designs. And on level 3, we work our way from left, being edit, all the way to the right, which will, as you're walking through, will cover accessories, which has about 3 aisles of accessories, everywhere from fine jewelry to costume, bags in skins and vegan, and then you move on to a showroom network area where a lot of the showrooms have been in business for 20 to 30 years. So there's a lot of kind of trust in the brands that we put in the showroom area of the show. And then moving into young contemporary, which is really that $100 price point. That's really your place showrooms, your BB Dakota, Free People world. As Gail talked about, we also continue on to level 1. And level 1 is really the place where we're going to put our large contemporary brands. And I think what's important about level 1 is that these brands often require appointments or should be contacted pre-show to kind of gauge their distribution network in your area. So these are brands that usually sell big box retailers like Saks, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, and as a specialty store, you're going to want to do your due diligence on those brands and make sure who are they selling in your area, and I'm sure a lot of them will also look for approval of, you know, they don't want to be in 4 stores in the Nashville area. You know, they usually select 2 or 3, and you want to know who each other is selling so you can make meaningful appointments with those people because they're often booked far in advance. In addition, on level 1, we have footwear, which Belinda will talk about in a little bit, as well as what I would call a preppy resort area, much like a Tory Burch type of clientele. A lot of our southern stores love to shop that area, very kind of happy, bright clothing. And that's really your Susanna Monaco's, Amanda Uprichard, Tyler Bow type brands. When I talk about big box contemporary, I'm really talking about the Vinces, Joie, Kern Elliott, Rebecca Taylor, Shoshana, Amer, and other brands such as this. Also, you know, we've made a real push on sustainable brands, which a lot of people have shown interest in. If you are interested in a list of sustainable brands, just reach out to us and we can provide that for you, as well as plus sizes or other questions you might have of who's offering, you know, expanding their product offering and offering certain categories of goods. Also, really important, on the concourse level, beauty and vintage. We really have found that this is a great way for all of the specialty stores to differentiate their product assortment from the store down the street, incorporating one-of-a-kind vintage items into the store, and also having those great giftable, you know, beauty things, whether it's the face mask, a candle, or, you know, whether it's makeup eraser and you're using that to take the makeup off of the garments as people try them on in the store. We've found that that area is really growing in popularity, and we definitely want everyone to be aware that that's going to be here with us at this event. Some other notable things is that we have launched an app, which I'm sure they'll go into in more detail going forward on the call, but the app is really a great way to wayfind, to look at people's lookbooks in advance of going into the booth. It's a great way to kind of explore new brands. And we will be picking 50 new feature brands and making sure that all of their information is loaded on the app. So it's a great place, resource for you guys to look through, you know, their lookbooks and check them out, so you don't have to necessarily make an appointment right off the bat. Again, I really want to stress the fact that we're here to help. and every store is looking for different things. That's what makes all of you unique. And we'd love to know the price points and aesthetic and brands you're looking for so we can help make some meaningful matches for you on the floor. So with that all being said, I'll stay on for questions, but I'm going to kick it off to Belinda, who does Soul Commerce and footwear at Coterie.
Thanks, Danielle. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being on the call. I'm very happy to go over footwear as an overall category for the New York women's market, and hopefully break things down so that you have a very clear understanding of what you can find where. So to begin, we do have two different footwear neighborhoods within the New York market. The first being Soul Commerce, and that really represents more of our mainstream brands. You're going to find footwear here that retails under $250, and Soul Commerce is located on level 3 of the Javits, and we're right in between the Fame and Moda shows. On the slide here, you see some of the brands that we've called out, many that you're probably super familiar with: Steve Madden, Chinese Laundry, Ted Baker, and then we also have some great international brands, Vagabond, Geox, Joan Olaf is actually an American brand made in Italy. So we've got a great mix. And we also have other brands like Tree Torn that aren't listed on here, Seychelles, Coolway, BB Lou, Ilsa Jacobson, and Vicenza. So Soul Commerce represents about 75 exhibitors, so very easy to walk through, and we merchandise it as best as we can. We generally have 3 sort of subcategories within Soul, and that's where you're going to find juniors, which really complement our Fame neighbor on one side of Soul, and then we also have more of the casual fashion brands that also complement Moda, which is on the other side of Soul Commerce. So about 50% of the brands in Soul Commerce are international, but you're also going to find that in our other area, which is footwear at Coterie. So footwear at Coterie is actually sitting on level 1 of the Javits within the main Coterie floor. So here you're going to find the brands that retail over $250, and they're going to be more of the premium contemporary folks, most of which are going to be made in Europe. So whether that's Italy, France, Spain, these are going to be brands like Kennel and Schmanger, Capoletti, Donna Carolina, Pas de Rouge, Anaki Paris, Paraboot, Paloma Barcelo. A lot of the names that may be more unique to you. In many cases, this may be the only U.S. show this brand is exhibiting in, so they're going to be very unique, very special collections for you to view. And you know, just for the most part, one of the most important things I want to share, separate from the different sort of dynamics of these two shows, is that all of these brands come to the New York women's market to work with boutique retailers. So I don't want you to be intimidated in thinking that, you know, they might have larger minimums, because they all come to the show to really be flexible and accommodate the small fashion boutiques. So most of them have small minimums, in some cases open stock programs. Some of them offer drop shipping and special incentives, you know, to work with the retailers at the show. So we also offer a footwear trend display, and that's going to be on the main concourse on level 2. And there we're going to put some great trends together, and we are going to feature the brands specifically in our footwear at Coterie area. And so in addition to that, you know, I'm sure many of the people on the phone don't necessarily carry footwear yet, so I'd just like to offer our support. Please feel free to submit a question through the question box on our webinar portal, and our team would be more than happy to make, you know, specific suggestions for you, or even provide a walkthrough through our footwear neighborhoods. So, you know, please feel free, reach out, and we're more than happy to offer further guidance with footwear. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mercedes, can you guys hear me? I'm not sure if I just lost everybody. Okay, I'm just going to keep talking.
We can hear you, Mercedes.
Until they tell me that. Okay, thank you. This is Mercedes, and I'm very happy to talk with you today and walk you a little bit through the rest of the show and give you some buying tips. And I just want to say that, you know, I went to the UBM shows in January. I just got back from Magic, and I'm talking to a lot of my own clients and a lot of the retailers out there, and everybody is really, really excited about what's happening in retail, how good business is, and how business is going to continue to go on. So I know a lot of you are new and still are hearing a lot of these horrible, not true, fully true stories about the doom and gloom in the industry. But if you really think about it, it's the big, lazy, slow department stores that just got antiquated and the chain stores that didn't develop. And that's why coming to a trade show like this that has the variety of price points and has the variety of categories, everything from, you know, a beautiful lip gloss that's an impulse item all the way to the contemporary area, which is really nice margin builders, to brands that everybody recognizes. So it's so important to really take advantage of walking the whole show. And one of my favorite areas is this fame. You're going to see a lot of new brands here. You're going to see that they're in stock, so people that are opening up their stores now in spring, you're going to find immediate goods. You're also going to see fall and fall preview. And even some of them, especially the international ones, are bringing a bit of the resort collections with them too. So this is a very exciting area and definitely a place that everybody needs to get by. Moda is, again, ready to wear. It's more of a casual lifestyle. You'll find some plus sizes in this area, a lot of contemporary looks. You know, and I hate to say it like in the demographics, because it's not about the age, it's really about the person's attitude and understanding what they're looking for, and it's really about the fit. And here you'll find more casual fits. There's some of my favorite brands I can find here. The Stitch brands are really beautiful, well-known, well-recognized brands that have some heritage to them. Tribal is definitely a must. We do so well with it in so many places. So really just take the time to see the mix of the modern contemporary that you'll find in these two areas. So I also want to just go back. Fame, there's a big section that's known as young contemporary. Again, it has nothing to do with age, but more about a fashion attitude that the consumer might have. So it is important, if you haven't fully registered, to register. The lines get very big with a lot of last-minute people that come to the show. There are some shuttle buses and some information that you want to get familiar with, especially with the routes and the buses. And it's great because the weather has been a little bit chilly. Actually, it's been quite bipolar. It was freezing snow yesterday, and today it's 40 degrees. So dress in layers. There's definitely a place to check your coat when you get there. And do take advantages of the shuttle buses, because this is one of the opportunities that you have to network with some of your fellow retailers, especially the ones that are in different areas. All of these slides are going to be available to you. There's some information here about public parking and the different garages that are near the Javits Center, and of course about taking an Uber or a taxi. And just keep in mind that transportation in New York City is very easy to get around, and it is a walking town, so enjoy some of that too. There is going to be some airport transportation. There are the fees that are listed there. There's a shuttle that's going to be leaving from the Javits, and you'll see that you don't really need a reservation, and it's much more inexpensive than taking a taxi. And again, another great way of hooking up and networking with somebody on the car right there. So there are two things that I feel like really differentiate these trade shows, the UBM, and especially with Coterie. There is an actual concierge, and it's not a robot that like answers like you see those chat things that you see online. It's not like that. It's a real person that is going to read and understand your question, because they're industry professionals, and give you the best answer that they can. And throughout the show, you're also going to see a lot of help desk. And again, these are not just gun for hires. These are people that know the maps, that know the best way to get there, that know where the coffee is at the end of the day or the beginning of the morning. So please do take advantage. Don't spend a lot of time, wandering around aimlessly. Use your time wisely, and these are two very important resources that you have. There is going to be some lunches available and some breakfast available, and you'll see the signs when you get into the show. The times are listed here. They're usually in the back. And again, get there early. Take a moment, because once you start walking the show, especially and I'm asking you to start early because they are big shows and there are a lot of new opportunities available here. There is a moment when you do want to just take a break. When you're walking down the aisles, and I like to say I coined this phrase, it's called buyer's blindness. When you start walking down the aisles and everything looks the same, and you're like, oh my gosh, did I just go past this row, or did I just make a wrong turn? And actually, you get to the point where am I? So take a moment, use the lounge, relax, have your lunch, have a cup of coffee, network with people, and really get to enjoy the whole experience of being there. There are executive hotel deals. I'm going to say that you really need to book soon. It's unbelievable how fast they're all, especially the good rates and the nice rooms, are going so very quickly. So make sure you make all your travel plans in advance. So there are some fabulous planning tools. There is the My Show Planner, which you heard the lady speak about before, and the Coterie mobile app. And, you know, it's just great to have everything in the palm of your hand. You don't want to be carrying around the books, even though I do take them with me for references. I'm still a paper person, but just having that show planner that you could do before you come into the market and into the show, and then also having the opportunity to take the app with you. And it's always going to be pushing like new ideas and things that are happening throughout the day, each of the days, and giving you a highlight of each of the days too. So make sure you download that. It's going to be available very soon. So this is where I'm going to teach you how to be a professional buyer in less than 7 minutes. Are you ready? First thing we have to do is prepare. So we can't, even though I do say after all of this preparation, to go in with an open heart and an open mind, because the way you feel like your store is, or the way you feel like the store is going to be for the new guys, it's always an evolution and there's always change. So make sure that you start out by taking notes of the things that you want to try in the store, of the brands you want to cover, of the styles that have been selling well, of the colors, of the fits that have been selling well. You want to be able to review also the numbers. So now I'm going to talk to some of the more advanced retailers that have been with us for a couple of shows. We can't just buy the things that we like. In case you haven't noticed, all the things that I like never sell. And I have a funny saying that says that ugly sells, and it does. And sometimes we have to be really true to ourselves when we review the numbers and drop the ones that don't make money for us. So it's really a hard choice, and it's difficult, especially when you have a relationship, but that's part of growing the business and being the boss. So do have meetings with your team. Let them also recommend, and keep them on their toes too. Like ask them to source new brands. Ask them to comp shop the neighborhood or a different neighborhood. Ask them what's going out there and how you can maintain and stay competitive. Spend time talking to the customer, seeing what they want. Even though I have to tell you the truth, Diana Bierland had the best saying, give the customer what they don't know they want. And that's how you get them to buy. So that's why we have to keep a sharp eye and an open heart when we're walking through the different booths. And this, I'm going to go back to the buyers that have been a buyer for a while. We get, and I'm guilty of this too, of getting in our routines, of going to the same brands that make money for us, of never exploring something else because it's easy and it's profitable. But really take the time to at least make a plan of seeing 10 new brands. 10 new brands is very aggressive, especially when you're short with time and you want to see so much of what's going on. But it is important. It is our job as buyers to really be credible and to understand what the marketplace is all about. And even try a category, a new category. There's a great selection of beauty. Going back to footwear, if you don't do footwear, we're finding that all of our boutiques that have added it, and they treat it more like an accessory, like maybe the sandal of the season or the rain boot of the season or whatever it is. If we just start out as items, you'll see how that department starts to grow and flourish and really complete a sale. And that's how you get your units per transactions up and bigger tickets, even if you have the same number of customers. So the other thing I want to talk about is when you're packing. I can't tell you, we just got back from Magic, how many people told me that they forgot their business cards. Either that or they were completely avoiding me. But I'm just going to assume that they were telling me the truth and they did forget their business cards. Bring a cell phone charger and a backup battery, because I really feel that the Javits Center eats cell phone batteries. It's a beautiful, structureless, gorgeous building, but because of its location, I really feel that my phone is always dead by the end of the day. It's also because I'm checking and I'm Instagramming and I'm doing a lot of live things, because this is what keeps our clients, our customers excited while you're at the show too. And again, it makes it look like, and no, not makes it look, it shows that you are the credible expert of the boutique. So during the show, it is a nice idea to use a digital show planner. You know, you're going to have your app with you. Even though we're going to plan all of the things out, all the brands that we want to see, we're going to make appointments with some of the harder ones to see too. We're also going to make our budget and try to stick to it. But it is really important to walk row by row. You have to be able to view everything that's going on. And it's really funny because I'll always bring a notebook and a stapler to staple cards of the products that I don't think I need. And the moment I get back to the shop, somebody's asking for that. So it is important to take the time and leave yourself enough time at the show to be able to do all of that. If you do see a busy booth, don't worry. As long as you can get a card, as long as you can make an appointment to come back, maybe to come back the next day, just really be aggressive when it comes to that. And it's not being rude, and I know a lot of people feel, but, you know, when you're in New York City, it's okay to be a New Yorker. You can go in there, elbow somebody. Okay, maybe not that, but we don't have to get physical. But the thing is that you're there to do business, and they're there to do business. So it's okay to interrupt and just say, listen, I'm really sorry. I know you're busy. I would like your card. Is there a good time today to come back? If not tomorrow, it is really important to do that. Now, there is 100 different ways I could teach you to be a buyer and how to take your notes. Personally, in the next 3 minutes, I'm going to tell you the way that I do it. I like to take my order book out and write an order when I see things that I like. I mark it, hold for confirmation. I'll give them a copy of the order, and then I'll go back and analyze everything that I bought. Am I within budget? Did I buy too much of the same thing? Am I buying the same thing over and over from different vendors? Where are my margins? What are my price points? And then I confirm my orders. Sometimes when I don't place the order, when I wrote the note, I don't just crumple it up and throw it in the garbage. I archive it by delivery date. So I'll put all my April, May, June orders together. And during those times, you're going to see as a buyer, right now, probably around 30% of the goods that we buy don't get shipped. And you can't sell from an empty store. So you need to be able to have these archives to be able to go back. This is another useful tool that Coterie offers, that you could go back to the website and look at the brands. But when you have those notes of the things that you like, all you have to do is process. And make sure that you call them up and make sure that the goods are still available. And if you're buying goods that are on time, meaning that they ship in the next couple of weeks, don't be afraid to ask for a discount too. When I am taking my notes as I'm writing the order, it is also very important to the first picture you take of the series be the business card of the booth. I can't tell you how many times I'm flipping through my phone and just actually flipping out because I can't remember what dress belonged to what brand. So the order that I write the styles on my paper and the sequence of the brands that I see are all in the same order so that there's consistency and I can refer to it back. Now, I don't want you to go around taking pictures of boots that you're not buying. They really frown about that, but it is important to take notes and pictures of the things that you're buying. And just don't buy things because of price. And I know I have a lot of very high-end stores that we work with, and they walk over to Young Contemporary and they look at a $12 dress and they're like, oh my God, that's so cheap. And I'm like, really? Let's look at it again. Let's look at the seams. Let's look at the styling. Let's look at the fabrication. Let's look at the actual trend. Could this be a margin builder? Is this something that we private label and change the label out so people can't compare apples to apples? Most definitely it is. So really just take the time to visit all of the different areas. And don't forget, at the end of the day, you are the buyer and you know what's right for your store. So a quick course on open to buy. I don't buy everything up front. And this is why, honestly, buying is a full-time job. So if you're in your store, you know, unpacking boxes and saying, can I help you? You're not being the merchant and you won't be able to grow to the abilities that I know that you can. So being a buyer really takes a lot of math, a lot of negotiation, a lot of research, a lot of traveling, a lot of visiting the stores. And again, going back to the stores that have been around the block a couple of times like myself, sometimes we just get lazy and start shopping online from some of the websites. And you can't. There is nothing like touching and feeling it. And even in a pinch, I prefer to go to market to the trade show than just depend on the websites. And I also find that a lot of the young contemporary guys, which you can find online, they don't always have their best products and their newest prints online for fear that somebody else is watching them too. So just keep that in mind. So start the season, which is now we're just really wrapping into fall 1 and fall 2. I'm going to spend 45% of my open to buy, of my budget by month. In season, which we get into the other trade shows, I'm going to buy about 35%. And right now I can also buy, I'm buying Easter goods still. And I'm also asking for a discount. And you could also buy immediate. So immediate usually ship within the same week. In season ships within the month. And start of the season will probably start to ship at the middle of August in the market that we're in right now. So this is just too much information right now, but I did want to show you a little bit about how you should be dividing your budgets. You know, it's not straight across, you know, whatever number you think you're projecting in sales. There are better months and worse months. For the new retailers, they're always very surprised to find out that December is not your Christmas time. It's usually November, because that's when people are still buying full price and they're buying things for themselves. And when it gets down to buying Christmas gifts, they're actually buying price themselves. So I always think about holidays or events or even regional holidays that you might have in the store and how you can participate, and always carrying forward the next balance. Just one more number I want to tell you. When you project your sales, the rule of thumb is 3 times the cost that you want to sell. So if I'm projecting that I'm selling $30,000 a month, I need to have in retail dollars $90,000. So just keep that in mind. And remember, depending on the markup, it's how much that $90,000 actually cost me. So once you start thinking about your departments, then we start thinking about our categories. As a rule of thumb, again, tops outsell bottoms 4-to-1. So when we're doing and analyzing our numbers and what we're buying and where we want to allocate some more dollars to, just keep those things in mind too. And I want to say there's really been a beautiful trend, and it's been going on for a while, and I think it's just going to continue in dresses. So little date dresses, little party dresses, little career dresses, they're doing amazing, and I think it's going to continue too. So what to do when you get to the booth. What I don't want you to do, your first question should never be, what is your minimum? Because if you start the conversation like that, you're already telling the vendor, I'm really small, I don't know what I'm doing, you're probably going to have to babysit me, so don't waste your time. They are there to do business. They're not there to educate you. So you need to know what you want, and you need to be able to articulate that quickly. So the first thing I say is, can I look at the collection? Again, a lot of the fast fashion people, a lot of the people that you'll see on the contemporary floor, a lot of people in Moda and Stitch, they don't mind, they don't have any problems at all you walking through it. But some of the higher and more recognizable brands are very suspicious about who you are, if you're competition, if you're friend or foe. So it's a little bit more delicate the way that they let you walk through the booth, if they let you walk through the booth at all. The next thing is you want to look at the items. You want to be able to price them in your head before you actually get to the next question, which is, can you give me an idea of price points? Are they $10 or $100 dresses? Now, and if your mind, you thought, well, I could get $300 for this dress, and they just told you it's $50, please don't do a little happy dance in the middle of the floor. We can see you. Try to put your best poker face, and even that price point, as reasonable as you think it might be, could also be negotiable. The next thing that you want to figure out is, what is your cancel date? Now, I just want to tell you, your orders are a legal contract. Whether you write them on your own paper, whether the young contemporary guys print them out on their computer, or whether the vendor handwrites it themselves. It is a legal contract. So by asking what the cancel date is, you're actually trying to figure out what is the last possible date that they can ship you before you have the right to cancel the order. So for example, it's Valentine's week this week. It's actually tomorrow. I wouldn't want goods to have come in the beginning of February. I most likely wanted them to come in the middle of January. So my cancel date for Valentine's specific dresses or items or hard printed underwear, whatever it is, would probably have been a 1/15 cancel with probably a 1/30 or a 1/1 start. So that is your start date and your cancel date. And it's really important to put both, even though the industry will always tell you as ready for the start date, To me, that means whenever I feel like it. And as a buyer, who I have to manage my cash flow and I have to watch my credit card budgets, that's not open for negotiation. So your start date, your cancel dates are very important to make sure you maintain them on your orders and so that you can control your budgets and your cash. So the next thing you're going to ask, what are your terms and are you factored? So this is a very nice way of saying, how am I paying? So I'm going to stress this probably again later on. It is so important that you do not give your credit card on the show, or that you write it on a piece of paper, or they swipe it for you. You will give them your credit card once you confirm your orders, once you've checked your order to the invoice, and I can't tell you how many times it's the wrong sizes or the wrong color, or they changed the delivery date on their invoice. You have to be very, very aware of all of these things. And I also find that if I just randomly give them my credit card, they will charge me all the time because they'll ship my multiple item invoice in multiple shipments. So you also want to control that too, because this is a business of nickels and dimes. You don't want one dress coming today and then from the same vendor, something else coming on Tuesday and something else coming on Friday. You have just paid 3 different shipping charges and handling charges. So even when you write your order, if you want to write on your order, which I do, and I do recommend, ship complete or call if it's a back order, so that way you can control the dollars and also the way that you're merchandising the floor. You want to be able to get the collections in to merchandise them correctly. So when you're buying, you're actually merchandising at the same time too. So again, just to stress that, don't give your credit card on the floor. Insist that they send you an invoice. You're going to check it to your orders. And then personally, I like to use my own authorization form because there's 2 things on there that theirs doesn't have. One, it says they must ship me within 24 hours of charging my card, because that's another thing that happens. They'll charge the card and forget, quote unquote, to ship you, or they charge you for next season's goods. So on my form, it says you may never use this credit card again without my written authorization. The next thing you want to figure out is where do they ship from? So the industry terminology for that is FOB, freight on board. It's an old shipping term, but basically it means if you are buying shoes from Brazil, am I paying the shipping from Brazil and then to my store? If I am buying, sundries from Colombia, do I pay the shipping from Colombia? You always, if that's the case, I would ask for a landed price. And then you pay the shipping from their warehouse to your store. So it's really important to ask because there are so many times that even my own clients have called me and said, oh my God, those $10 dresses are now $100 because I had to pay duties and shipping from XYZ country. So really be aware of that. Do you have at once goods? Very important because we're actually asking, do you have anything on the cheap that I could be a margin builder? Because people are going to start marking it down, but I don't need to mark it down yet. What is your size run and how do they compact? So this is really interesting because there isn't a set standard for how things are done. You're going to find in the young contemporary or in the lower price points, things will come pre-packed and they'll say it comes pre-packed 222. So that usually means you'll get 2 smalls, 2 mediums, 2 large. You cannot change a pre-pack. A pre-pack is a pre-pack is a pre-pack. But now when you go to another brand, they might say, well, it's open scale, but you need to buy 3 pieces. So that basically means you can choose your sizes. If it's 2 to 12, 12 to 14, whatever it is. You want to be able to choose your sizes. And I would advise you to err on buying sizes that are too big than too small, because you could always make a big garment small, but you can't make a small garment big. And people always like it when things are over big on them. Nobody likes to look like a sausage when they're trying stuff on. So just keep that in mind, especially with the higher price points. And you also, if products come in 2 colors, you might buy 2 in 1 color of 2 different sizes, and then in a different size run the other color. So that way you actually have 4 sizes, but in 2 different colors. And that's how you stretch your dollars out, especially if you're a new store and you just want to be able to cover a lot of ground to get a feeling for where the niche is in sizing. What is your opening order? So now this is the fun part where we're actually asking what the minimum is. And again, personally, I'm just asking to be polite. I don't care because I'm only buying the things that I know that can sell in my store. So I'm sure a lot of you have bought things just to meet the minimum and it never sells. And I feel it's also like a point of embarrassment that you're a little bit shy to say, listen, the minimum is $500. I've bought $400. I'm very comfortable with what I'm buying. It's the first time that we're working together. Can't you help me out? And most likely they'll say yes. There's always like that one jerk that went to the corporate meeting and they said $500 and it's $500 and they can't think out of the box. And trust me, there's a lot of those. So my advice is just with your more sarcastic tone, say thank you, grab your order and walk away. But don't give up. I usually will wait until the last day of the show and email in the order, and 99% of the time it goes through because nobody cares at the other side of data entry. They just want to get the orders in and ship it out to you. So be persistent about the things that you want, but be comfortable with the things that you're buying too. So this could be a whole day class. Is this the best you could do? Just pick one item, and I usually pick the most expensive, and just say, listen, why is this one dress so much more expensive than the other ones? And if they say, you know what, just go ahead and take 10% off, I note that on my order, 10% off. And guess what? Next time I go to that showroom or that booth or that vendor, I'm going to make sure I get 10% off the whole order. So a few tips after the show. You can't just write your orders, confirm them, and forget about them. It is really, really important that you actually follow up on them. And I would say 2 weeks before the cancel date, you should start calling. Is it on time? Is it okay? Was the production okay? Are you dropping any styles? Do I need to go back into something else? Do I need to review the line sheets again? Like, this is positive reinforcement to your own order because you're going to lose about 30% of them, especially the early orders. Not so much the at once and the immediate, but definitely the early ones. And then you want to be able to, before you actually commit to all of your orders, make sure you're in budget. And it's really funny how fast you could spend your whole budget just on one brand. So this is where I'm asking you now, not to be so much the buyer, but more of the editor merchant. So you have to start looking at your pictures and putting together, like, I really love the jackets from this one company, but I think they go better with these pants or with these dresses or with this coordinate or with this sweater or with these accessories or with this slipper, whatever it is. You have to start working it in as an editor, as a curator, as a fashion designer eye, so that you can put it all together. You want to make sure that it's all complete, that your delivery dates are clear, that your terms are clear, that they're shipping all at one term, and that they send you an invoice before you actually pay for the goods. So this is your retail team. They are fantastic. I have the pleasure of saying that I have worked with Celeste for many years, with Gail, with Sandra. She's just a walking encyclopedia of all the brands that are in there. They are so approachable and accessible. It is really important that you use that concierge service. And again, any questions that we can't answer for you at the end of this session, please do feel free to reach out to them and contact them directly. This is my information. I'm Mercedes from Global Purchasing. Please do follow me on Instagram. I do post a lot of my picks and my favorites. And I just want to do one tiny plug. I do have an Amazon bestseller just released in October called Chronicles of a Fashion Buyer. So thank you for your time, and I'm just going to put the dates and remind everybody about the app. Please do download it. It should be available soon. Please use the web for more information and to plan your dates and your shows and the events, and to keep in touch with all the stuff that's going on too during the show. So, Erin?
Thank you so much, Mercedes. This is Alexandra again.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. We had a few questions that came throughout the presentation that I was hoping you guys could answer right now. So for Danielle, we have somebody asking, are there any notable sustainable or socially conscious brands showing during this marketplace?
Oh yeah, we have quite a selection of them. I would say the most notable is AMUR, A-M-U-R, and that's a measurable use of resources. But we have brands in every price category and stylistic nature. And sustainable means something different to everybody, so it's better we probably take it offline. We have, denim companies who use zero waste in the way they dye their jeans, but they don't tout themselves as sustainable. So we can kind of fill you in on some stories and then help you make some selections from there.
Perfect, thank you. And for Belinda, we have somebody asking, I am looking for slippers and footwear. Do you know if any exhibitors will be carrying these?
Hi, this is David. I'll answer for Belinda. The only specific slipper brand that we have showing is Patricia Green, but there are many comfort brands now that do carry some slippers. They're not specifically all about slippers, but they will have some slippers. But Patricia Green is the only one that carries specifically slippers.
Great. Thank you so much, David. Mercedes, we also had somebody asking regarding to one of your questions to ask the vendors. What does "are you factored" mean?
So in the future, you will have industry credit. And there are certain banks that in our industry that do give industry credit, and they're called the factoring banks. And I want to stress the importance of being industry credit worthy, because if a factoring bank gives you 30 days to pay, you could pay them with a credit card. So now you have 60 days. And in the perfect world, you want to be able to sell your goods within that time and pay back the vendor with their own money. And that's called positive cash flow.
Great. Thank you, Mercedes. And I would just like to open this up to the table, but do we have a list of stores that provide drop shipping?
Hi, this is Gail, and I think what they're referring to, are there any brands that do drop shipping? And I believe Belinda said that there are quite a few in the footwear area that do drop shipping in apparel. For the most part, they do not. So I hope that answers the question. And then Belinda will follow up with that. Thank you.
Thank you. If you do have any additional questions to the audience, please use our Q&A tool on the presentation page now, and we will try to get back to them. Or please feel free to reach out to our retail relations team via email at retailrelations@ubmfashion.com. And thank you again, Gail, Danielle, Belinda, and Mercedes, and everyone who attended the webinar today. If you haven't registered for the show yet, please head over to ubmfashion.com to ensure you're registered to attend. Also, don't forget to catch our upcoming Fall/Winter 2019 and 2020 Women's Trend webinar taking place next week at the same time on February 20th. You can sign up on ubmfashion.com. We look forward to seeing you all soon in New York for New York Women's February. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.